Good afternoon, everyone. Today I'm going to present a talk on a topic which is most relevant to be addressed in the current scenario and in I think in this situations also. This topic is dealing with procrastination. So in this topic, I'll be telling about the diagnosis, how to diagnose like whether we are involved in a procrastination and how to rectify it, what are the remedies to rectify it. So first of all, we start with what is actually a procrastination is. I give you a normal textbook definition for a procrastination. So how it sounds like is it is the avoidance of the task that needs to be accomplished by a certain deadline, and it could be further stated as habitual or intentional delay of starting or finishing a task despite of knowing it might have a negative consequences. So if you just look at the definition, I think it is a more like to say in order to make it more simpler, like to understand the concept of procrastination, we can say like for example, we have a task, okay, lined up task, and we have a timeline. So we know that we have these many tasks. As there is a starting point, we have some set of tasks which are like limited in numbers. As the time proceeds, the tasks are also like increasing. Whether we are in our professional activities, whether we are in our personal activities, with time, tasks and responsibilities increases. And the person who is not able to manage like to accomplish that task or certain deadline and it's like not able to manage the task, so what happened, this task and timeline they matches and create a great havoc and everything will be on the plate and everything will be messed up and the ultimate consequences will be like the person will not be able to manage either it is in a personal life or it is in a professional life. The correct approach towards it, like if you have a these are the tasks, you take it as a task like okay, I have these many tasks, okay, maybe in terms it is limited at that time, maybe it may be a lot of tasks are there, that time is this much, okay, you have a keen eye on a time as well as the keen eye on a task and you try to do your task, you proceed systematically to achieve that task, to achieve that target, and the time also is cutting down and task is also cutting down, so you're able to meet the end target which is your like accomplishment of the task or certain deadlines. So we can say procrastinus in Latin it is said that belonging to tomorrow, or the procrastination is putting things off intentionally or habitually. So this is all about the procrastination, what it is and how it is. What is the impact of procrastination on our lives? So I'll tell about the demerits of procrastination. Because if we wanted to know, first of all, if any disease is there, first somebody has to know that this thing is harmful to us and this thing is actually a problematic for us. So to understand that how much this procrastination is problematic for our life, we should know the demerits of it. So I can say that procrastination is the main barrier which block us from getting up, from rising up. It also block us from making the right decisions in the life, and ultimately it also blocks the dreams which we have planned, which we have thought of. And what is left out of it? The only left out thought are regret, guilt, and then missed opportunities. Like as we procrastinate the things, we delay of the things, we are losing the more and more opportunities which are getting towards. Like maybe it might be that if we would have done address those things timely, then we would have those opportunities. We would be at some other position. If we just look at the cartoon image here, this will give you a whole glimpse of what is actually the consequence of procrastination in our life. The person is there, he know that this is a fulfilled life, this is a dream he has planned, and he is actually, and there is a well, or you can say a dig where this procrastination is sitting. So if the person is not looking, is ignoring this procrastination which is happening in his life, then what had happened, it gets contained within this dig, it will get into that and it will never come out of, and ultimately he will not be able to achieve the dreams and the fulfilled life. So these are the demerits of procrastination. Now if we got to know what is the problem, if we got to know what are the demerits of this one, now we should know that what are the reason for this procrastination. So most of the I say articles or books or literature which are there, the a very cryptic message I got out of that is the willpower. So the reason for procrastination is the willpower. That is a leading cause for procrastination. Lack of intrinsic motivation. Like there is no motive. Like motivation is from inner side. Like it's there are always external factors which influence negatively and positively, but there is always a driving force which keeps you moving is the willpower, own motivation. So that helps to overcome the habit of thinking of the things on a daily basis. So when the person is not having a like willpower, they have a less willpower or they lack this motivation capability, they would not be able to overcome this procrastination. Second is the decision paralysis. For example, you have a lot of things in life, you have a lot of things going on personal activities, a lot of things going in professional activities, and you are confused about what is your priorities. The main reason for the procrastination is the willpower that leads us to procrastination. So somebody will not have a motivation or the intrinsic power that will help us to overcome the habit of putting off the things on a daily basis will actually, eventually lead to procrastination. If we talk about the another problem, decision paralysis. You have a lot of things sitting on your plate. For example, you have a professional activities, you have a personal activities, and in that also there are something which is priority. There are some other things which are not the priority, and among those things, if you're not able to make a like which is actually your priority is, and you confuse, for example, which needs attention at the later point of your life, it's not immediate, you're focusing more on that, and something which is very important and needs to be addressed, we are not focused on that. So that actually lead to delay in that activity, delay in that task, and it will lead to procrastination. So it's a decision, like lack of making a proper decision, right decision at the right time in the life. Third reason for the procrastination is the knowing the value of time. So, as we all know, on this earth, we are here for a limited time. Everybody has their own time. 60 years span, 70 years span, or maybe than that, or maybe more than that. And then activity, like the time where we are more active, where we are actually involved in the crucial activities of our life, where we are contributing more towards providing things to our family, or contributing to nation, or contributing worldwide. So that activity period is again limited. So if we ignore the value of time, and we cannot bypass time limitation. So under that situation, under that scenario, we will be a victim of procrastination. Like our task will be delayed, and ultimately we will lose the things. Fourth is the factor. It may or it may not be the factor. Lack of self-discipline. Like, okay, it may, you may, like, I'll say that decision and ignoring the time will be the more primary factors. And this can be like, there are people who are very disciplined, but then at the right time, they have not made the right decision, or maybe they have ignored some important value of time, that I should give this time to this task. So that may lead to the procrastination of some important task, or eventually missed opportunities. But lack of self discipline is also the important factor. Like many people who don't know when to how to organize the things, how to take every task, how much time I need to deal with spending with family, how much time I need to spend with my career opportunities, how time I need to give apart from that to broaden more skills. If I wanted to achieve more expertise, how much time I need to give in that thing. So likewise, they're least organized. So the lack of organization, lack of proper planning, that is actually a output of self-discipline. If the person is disciplined, that will eventually become a habit of planning and also the proper management. So these are the reason for the procrastination. Coming to myth, like most people feel that procrastination is laziness, or procrastination is relaxation. Like people are relaxing. If this is called procrastination, they're not doing thing at all, or they're just lazy, sitting up and not doing anything. So this is not the procrastination. Procrastination is actually happening with those who are actually involved in activities. Like they do tasks, they are involved in activities, but they are not able to manage the thing properly. They have a lack of planning. They have a lack of decision making. They have a lack of intrinsic motivation for some particular task. Like, okay, I have to do a task A. Like I will sit and wait. I will do B first. So that kind of planning. So these people are doing their work. They are taking part in activities. They are not lazy. They are not relaxing. But the problem is decision making and self discipline. So if we know our reason about that procrastination, now it's time to understand like how to fix it. So I must say that the most I say that the most best like approach for fixing the procrastination is the personal vision. And personal vision, I think if we combine personal vision with the Eisenhower quadrant, this quadrant is actually given by 34th President of United States, and this is he was Eisenhower, and he famously said that I have two kinds of problems: the urgent and the important. The urgent are not important, and the important are never urgent. So he gave a kind of a quadrant. Based on this, the quadrant was designed, and there were some activities which were listed in important activities, urgent activities, not urgent, not important, and then not important and urgent activities. So if our own personal vision combining with the to-do list activity, that if we know that what are the list of activity we need to do, and if we spend time with our own self, we meet on a daily basis with our own self, and we check out the things like what is done, what needs to be done, what are my plans, what are my future plans, what are my goals, and what are my immediate things which demands my attention, that will actually fix up the uh, problem of procrastination. And if we like Suti put all these things in these four squares, that will make more sense. So in order to understand what these four squares are, to simplify it a bit further, I'll just first give you the definition of what is important and what is urgent. So important activities are those which help us to achieve our long-term professional and personal goals. Urgent activities are those which are reactive, which demand our attention like immediately, but these are not necessarily important for our goals. Like it may be or it may not be. So this is a definition for important and urgent. When we mix these two, important and urgent, when important become urgent and urgent become important, then only this problem of procrastination occurs or the missed opportunities occurs. So if we just look at one quadrant systematically, 1 to 4, and try to list out the activities. So based on all the articles available till date, and based on personal opinion also, I'll just try to highlight some of the activities which can be placed systematically in these quadrant. For example, quadrant 1 is important and urgent. So urgent and important activities demand your attention right away. They need to respond and resolve them quickly. And these activities are mostly including the deadlines, emergency, medical emergency, important meetings. So these are coming under the important and urgent thing. If we talk about the important and non-urgent thing, so these are the long-term personal and professional goals. These activities might include your personal, professional goals, exercise, spending time with family and friends, strategically planning, goal setting, building relationships, and then studying literature and slowly developing a personal and professional growth. So these are important but not urgent. Then there are activities which are not important but urgent. So they come up suddenly, they pop up suddenly. So they demand immediate attention. Somebody asked for, there is an email request, there is an email from a colleague, phone call, some interruption from family member, from anywhere, something is coming up. So these activities are not actually important for a long term. It's long term, like personal goals or long term goals. But these are the activities which are related to people in the society, like people expectation, like people surrounding you, maybe colleagues, maybe friend, maybe family. So these are not important but urgent. They will not count for the person's long term goals, but they are still urgent. Then there are other activities which are not important and not urgent. These activities might be just sorting through junk mail, sitting scrolling Facebook, checking Twitters, spending time with social media and all those things, playing video games, watching. So these are not at all important also, and they are not urgent also. So how to fix the problem of procrastination? How to fix up the problem of like uh, avoiding the missed opportunities and getting more and extracting more and more out of the opportunities, getting more and more chance of growing in both personal and professional aspect. So how to fix it? The most appropriate way is to first look at the Q1, quadrant Q1. Quadrant Q1, somebody has to work to reduce this Q1. Like there should be less number of activities we should place in quadrant Q1, which is important and urgent. And how this can be reduced? This can be reduced by best planning. Like for example, if a PhD student has a deadline for a thesis submission, has knows that my thesis submission is to be done in 6 months, after 6 months, and for some manuscript something is there after 6 months. So there is a time gap of 6 months. So it's an important issue of the life. Somebody is going to get a degree, somebody is going to get a graduate. So but there is a timeline. For example, from the 6 month, if I count, there is a timeline. And then the situation, something pop up suddenly, some medical emergency, or if we can say, if we take the example of this crisis, corona, COVID situations, which is because this many people stuck at their place, the activities are halted, no experiments can be done, many things are halted. So now this 6 month time will pass on, and the thing which is important, it comes under urgent situation. So it will come into the quadrant one. So if the planning is like strategically, if planning is there, if something is already known, like before 6 months, if I am planned, if I know that these kind of activities can be sorted, and the lot of experimental things are done, only the writing part is left out. So the person can plan and sit and peacefully write. Or if some writing is there, there is just polishing of the things, right, making of thesis, so that can be done. So it will be urgent, but the person will be to respond at a time, and we will able to deliver the thesis at the right time. So it will the quadrant Q activity will be reduced. So the most effective is to reduce the last minute activity and to put less number of tasks in Q1. Then quadrant two. Quadrant two is always there in life. Like we all have a goals. We all have a professional goals. We all have a personal goals. So in that, so if we are able to manage this quadrant two is by focusing on this. Like always have an eye on the personal and the professional goals, long term goals. That uh, for example, if I'm for 2 years, if I'm working and if I've lost my eyes from getting the manuscript done, if I've lost my eyes from meeting my family, which are important to address, if I've lost my eyes from writing the thesis or collecting the data or writing the notebook, lab notebook, then that task will actually fall into the urgent category. It will go into the Q1 category. And become urgent, then you have to respond immediately. And that immediate and reactive response will actually affect the quality of the work, will actually affect the result, because the result will be there, but the quality is decreased. Maybe it is an immediate response, it is a reactive response. So the quality will be compromised, and may able to get a final result, or you may miss the opportunity. So these activities, like if we have a keen eye on these activities which are falling in Q2, we focus on Q2. So what happened that ultimately the quadrant activity of Q1, where the things are important and urgent, they will reduce. Like their task in that Q1 will less. So you have a lot of things in Q2. There will be a lot of time also. You have a keen eye on that, and there will be a strategic planning on that. Goal setting will be there. So the to-do list, the checklist will actually help us to get focused on Q2 activity. At least after we can fix up a time. For example, we can have a weekly timeline, or we can have a yearly assessment. So those kind of assessment will actually help us to focus on that. That where I am past 1 week, past 1 month, and where I'm now. Now after 1 year, where I am now, how much is achieved, how much is not achieved. So keeping a keen eye on Q2 activities will actually help us to resolve this Q2 Q1 quadrant. Now, how to handle the activities which are coming into the Q3 by actually these Q3 activities are not our, like we don't invite Q3 activities. It's from outside, like it from our family, it can be from our colleagues, it can be from our boss, from PI, or something popping up, like for example visiting some people in the family, somebody is sick, or visiting like example, we got a as we do in our lab, that we got a raw data analysis, some review committee member we are, or we are just invited for a review assessment, or something, like we are being invited by somebody and somebody asks us to do a work, or editing, like we are editing the manuscript for somebody, we are just reading the manuscript for somebody, or making a presentation, so short talk for some PI, and like this, these are activities which are urgent but not important. It will not count for our long term goal. It will not make much effect on our personal growth and our professional growth, but it is important in meeting the people expectation. So the best way is to address them, because we cannot anywhere overlook that. So we have to address those activities, but we can delegate that. Delegate that means, like whatever we can do, and whatever we cannot do, we can say no. We can choose a. We should have a option, like, okay, yeah, I can help you in that by this much part, or I cannot help you that by I cannot do that. Just saying at a time, or if you're accepting, then tell that this part can be handled, but remaining part cannot handle. So by being clear in that, like always giving is also not a good thing, because it is actually dealing with the people expectations and priority. So that will also eventually help the personal growth. So or passing on the activity, like if we are reviewing something, we can share the work burden, we can ask somebody to look at, also ask help from somebody, that okay, see, this up is clear, asking help from other, doing things like that. So delegating will also help us managing the activity in Q3. Now if I talk about the Q4, Q4 activities are not important and not urgent. The best way to address this Q4 activity is to eliminate as much as possible. Why to eliminate? Like for example, I have a quadrant Q1 it is full with the task. If I have a quadrant Q2, like lined up tasks are there, and I am working on quadrant 4, then what's the point? Like, what I'm doing with my life? So like if I have something very important also, something very urgent also, and for example, if we don't have a urgent, then also I have a very important activities to do that. So we can address those things. For example, I can give a little example. If I have a deadline for something, then anyway we are not going to do things which are there in the quadrant 4, like scrolling the Facebook and playing video games and all those things. We all need a break. That break will be like we can utilize, for example, we can spend time with family, like we can pick up the activities from Q2. For example, that time, like I have something important going on, okay, I am writing a manuscript, but then I need some break, then I can choose some activity from quadrant 2 itself. Like if for example, if somebody is some helping somebody, is like if you have a small kids in family, you can help their users, small kids doing their homework, establishing relationship with them, calling them, just checking on them, okay, everything is fine. So you are also addressing your Q2, and then again you are also working on your Q1. So rather than doing a 4, I'll say that doing a Q1, Q2, and Q3 is best. Eliminating Q4 will actually resolve the problem. So this is how our quadrant works. And I'll say there are a lot of positive people may keep many activities according to their own expectation, priorities, and it may also change. But overall, it looks like that. The kind of things which are revolving in our life based on the personal and the professional activity. This is how it looks like. Now, at last, just leave this open to all by just quoting a very good piece of advice, like spending more time with important tasks rather than urgent will move you away from firefighting and put you back in a driver's seat of your life. Like everybody wants to be a driver. Like everybody wants to drive their own life. So if I'm comfortably sitting and driving my life, that was the best situation rather than firefighting. So thank you so much for listening my talk.